A 64-year-old Missouri man will be put to death tomorrow night. His execution will be the first in the U.S. since March 5th because of the coronavirus pandemic. KCTV5's Amy Anderson has more on a local organization's fight to save him.
This is a horrific case. The 81-year-old victim was raped and murdered nearly 30 years ago. Tonight, the Midwest Innocence Project and about 5,000 people who signed a petition are asking Governor Mike Parson for a little extra time.
Have you seen or feel any reason to intervene?
I do not.
Word coming this afternoon in the case of Walter Barton, scheduled to die Tuesday night. What he's accused of is nightmarish to even think about. It happened in 1991 in Ozark, Missouri. 81-year-old Gladys Kuehler was raped and murdered. The killer cut her throat and stabbed her dozens of times. Walter Barton was one of 3 people that found Kuehler, and he says that's how spatters of her blood got onto his shirt.
The real question is what went right for Mr. Barton, and the answer is still nothing.
Tricia Rojo Bushnell is the executive director of the Midwest Innocence Project and says Barton's case 100% deserves another look. Barton was convicted after going on trial 5 times. There were several issues at each trial, including prosecutorial misconduct and once a hung jury. The jurors that eventually convicted him were recently presented new evidence on blood spatter, and several of them now say if they'd seen that evidence, they would not have agreed to the death penalty.
Certainly there's no reliable evidence for a conviction, let alone to execute someone.
Aside from the blood spatter, there was never any physical evidence linking Barton to the victim. Hair and fingernail scrapings were collected, but none of them match Barton. Many claim if Barton was the killer, he would have had a lot more than a few specks of blood on his shirt. The Midwest Innocence Project is asking Governor Parson not to say whether Barton is innocent or guilty, but for experts of his choosing to give the case another look and be sure Barton was treated fairly.
We're asking him to stay the execution and appoint a board of inquiry. This board would consist of whatever judges, independent judges that he wants to appoint on that board, who would review the evidence and make a recommendation to Governor Parson about whether or not to use his clemency power to either commute the sentence or overturn the conviction.
From what the governor said today, it appears that board of inquiry won't happen. We've reached out to the Christian County Prosecutor's Office for comment and at this point have not heard back. Walter Barton is scheduled to die by lethal injection tomorrow night. Amy Anderson, KCTV5 News.